Hey everyone, this is a channel, The Trans Family, or I will translate every our word in Russian, I don't know if I have time, sorry. Today we here with my friend from USA, it is Tanner, a scientist from biotechnology, by the way. And this is video about homophobia in USA. For me, it is a very interesting question because Tanner, when we met first, say me that it is existing homophobia in USA. For me, like for Russian citizen, I thought that in USA no one homophobe and everybody tolerant and everybody accepts and let to their children be who they want to be. And Putin say in Russia that if American kid want to be a cat, American parents buy for them plates for cats and let them be cat. But I doubt I have IQ more than one, so I doubt. My first question to Tanner, please tell me at what year and what date it was your coming out to your parents in 2009, for example, or what it was year?
Okay. I came out to my parents in 2016 when I was 21 years old.
21 years old.
21 years old.
How it was?
It was not good.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Please, can I check? Yes, everything functioning.
Okay. Yeah, it was not good. I was very scared to come out to my parents.
Why?
My parents, my family.
What you waiting? What you think the reaction will be?
I knew that they would not be happy.
Why?
Because my family was very religious. So they were very Christian. And throughout the years, I mean, in my young ages, being in middle school, high school, like when the gay tendencies started to happen, I just tried to ignore them. I tried to push them off. But throughout that whole time, my dad would make homophobic comments.
What the comments were?
I mean, he would say...
Die?
No.
Gays die?
Not quite that. But he would just like talk down upon gay people a little bit. And he would also... He literally said a couple times, he was like, don't be gay. And like we grew up in the church. Yeah, so the church would tell us that being gay was not okay, that there was only one way to do it, which is a man and a woman. Yeah, so grew up with that being my background and what I knew. And I was religious also, so that's why I was.
Nowadays too?
No longer, no. But in middle school and high school, when I was 13 to 18 years old, I was very religious, probably until 20 years old.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, so when I started to realize that I had gay tendencies and gay feelings, I tried to reject it. I tried to push it away. Yeah, I always told myself it was a phase and it would go away, and I tried to pray the gay away, as the expression goes.
Stop.
Yeah, I said a lot of prayers.
Everywhere butts, muscle butts.
I said a lot of prayers I believed that God would take it away if I prayed enough and if I was faithful enough. So then when I was...
Sounds like gay porn stars.
Yeah. Story, plot. So when I was 21, at that point I had realized that it wasn't just a phase.
Yeah.
That this was part of who I was.
By the way, as for me, 21, it is like, I can't introduce. It is like you can go through everything in that age, but for your family, 21, it is almost childhood, or what? 21 age.
21 is brinking on adulthood.
Yeah.
So it's not really like you're not seen as a child anymore. You're
Yeah.
seen as your own adult, as your own person.
As for me, I began to live with my boyfriend at 16 years old.
Okay.
So it is a little surprise for me that 21, it is the age that you're coming out.
Okay. That's fair. So in the US, it is extremely common that, I mean, you graduate high school when you're about 18 years old. Up until that point, you are dependent on your parents, on your family. And then most people go to college from 18 until 21, 22.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are still dependent on their families at that point. I was. Some people aren't. Some people, their parents tell them at that point, we are no longer supporting you.
Those days you lived with your...
I was at university, so I wasn't living with them. I was in a dorm room, so I was by myself. I had my own life. I was in California. They were in Arizona. So yeah, I was by myself, but I would go see them on holidays. For summers, I would always spend the summer with them. Yeah.
And how it was. I'm very scared to hear it. I don't know how it introduced, but it feels.
So at that time, I kind of just accepted that this was who I was, and I also accepted that with my religious background that it wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
I kind of got that out of my head. I did my own research when it came to religion, and I was kind of getting away from religion as well. But I was still a little bit religious.
Yeah.
And with that, I kind of turns and I was like, oh, God would actually be okay with this. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Who I am is not wrong. So at that point, I was like, okay, I need to start coming out. I came out to my friends first.
What they say.
Actually, no, I came out to one person at my university first. And then I told my family.
It was girl or boy?
It was a boy. He was also gay. So the university that I was at was a
Coming out to
Christian.
gay.
Yeah. So my university was a Christian
You
university.
said, once you fuck with me.
No.
It is
No,
coming
not that
out.
way. But he spoke at our university's church service, and he
Really?
came out as gay, which was like big shock to everyone because everybody was religious. People were like unsure. I was like, is that okay? Is that not okay? So it was a very new thing to our university community.
Like I'm child-free with 3 children.
Yeah, essentially. So I sent him an email after he spoke to everybody. I was like, I'm gay too.
And religious too.
Yeah, like same. So yeah, I talked to him, and then he kind of gave me the courage to tell my parents, and so I went home for the Thanksgiving holiday and spent the holiday with my parents, and I came out to them then. And the first thing my dad said was, "No, you're not." So he was.
You mixed up. No.
Yeah, so he
Stop,
was.
Stop talking.
We were just talking, and he was questioning why I didn't have a girlfriend, because I was 21 years old and I had never had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And
You never had sex with girl.
No.
Wow.
Right. So he started to question it, and
Time to.
you know, reasonable. I'm 21 years old. I should have had a girlfriend. And I finally just said, I'm gay, and he was quiet for a minute, and then he said, no, you're not. And I said, what? Like, yes, I am. So that was a little plot twist. I was like, oh, am I?
No, you're not. No. Gay.
Wait,
It is,
no, let me think about
There
that.
is your makeup. Where is high heels? You're not gay.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. So then after that, we kind of got into like this conversation about religion and what was right and wrong. And finally, I was just like, I'm not talking about this anymore. I'm going in. And that was just with me, my dad, and my brother. And then he asked me, you know, we were both bad moods at that point. And he just asked me, he's like, how do you want to tell your mother?
Mother
And she was
didn't
not
know.
there. She was not there, and
Those
she didn't know
time.
yet.
Didn't know yet?
She didn't know yet. So my dad.
Now? Now?
Now she knows. Yeah, yeah.
she
But
knows.
at that point, when I told my dad,
Okay,
she didn't know.
Okay.
And I was like exhausted, so I just said like, "You can tell her." Yeah, and then it was awkward. For I went back to university, luckily a few days later, but for about a year after that point, it was very tense with him. My mother was fine. My mom was fine with it. She was cool.
And what she said?
She was a little sad that I didn't tell her myself because I had my dad tell her. Yeah, I think she was just sad that I didn't trust her.
So
with
interesting
it.
that you were scary to talking with mother more than with dad.
I wasn't. I would have told my mother if she had gotten there first.
Yeah.
But my dad was asking the questions. He was so like it kind of almost forced me.
Yeah.
Like I knew that I needed to come out at that point, but he was the one who was like urging it on. If my mom had like asked those questions, then I would have told her, and I would have felt more comfortable talking to her about it.
I just thought that your relationship with dad is like friends or not.
No. Me and my dad were never very close. So it was already not a great relationship. And then after I came out, it got even worse for a while.
What about typical male works from home, for example? Like, I don't know, to making furniture together.
Like,
or
what does my dad do?
electricity.
Or
Yes.
my dad? So
Your dad and you, for example, in childhood, you spend time together to making male things.
we spent time playing sports.
Uh-huh.
So he was very big on sports.
What kind of sports?
Basketball, baseball for a little bit, soccer, golf, tennis. Pretty much everything. He wanted us to be athletic superstars.
Because of this figure. Yeah.
Yes, we are blessed. We are blessed with athleticism in our family. We were all very good at sports because my dad, trained us to be very good at sports. So that was most of our, father-son time was playing sports. And that was part of the reason why him and I were not that close, because I didn't like sports as much as my brothers did. I still enjoyed sports sometimes, but he kind of like forced sports upon us, upon me, and I didn't really like them that much. So yeah.
But when you were at school, you didn't talk with anybody about your sexuality, yes?
When I was in high school, so like 16 or 15 to 18 years old, I told one person. It was my youth group. So we had a youth group for Christians in my high school, and he was the first person that I told ever.
At what age?
That would have been 17. I think 17.
And what was his reaction?
That he would pray for me. But then, so I told him one day, and I told him, I was like, I don't want a husband, I want a wife and kids, because at that point, that's what I thought I had to do. And then like a couple weeks later, I had like started liking a girl.
Yeah.
But it was more like, I like her personality and that type of thing. I didn't really have any romantic or sexual interest in her. And so I actually told him, I was like, oh, it's over. I'm not gay anymore.
Yeah.
And then that was very wrong. And I'm still very gay.
So it didn't work. Pray for...
It didn't. Prayer did not work. It typically doesn't.
Yeah. So sad. So, are there any educational classes in typical USA Christian school or not Christian. So you had some educational classes and talk they about were talk they about LGBT or not those days when you were in school?
We had sexual education courses, like maybe one or two throughout middle school and high school. They did not talk about LGBT.
No one phrase.
Not that I remember.
What are they talking about there?
I mean, they talk about what happens to your body, like during puberty. You know, it changes. They talk about STIs, pregnancies, and unwanted sex. They talk about abstinence, so not having sex. They talk a little bit about like using condoms and that sort of thing, but not.
That's all. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sexual health. It was more like sexual health rather than like sexual education, educating you about the different aspects of sex. It was more just about staying healthy by not having sex.
So now, how your behavior, your relationships with your relatives and siblings, how it goes now?
It's a lot better now than it was.
They know about you?
Yes, my siblings know, my parents know. I think most of my, well, no, probably about half of my other relatives, my aunts and my cousins, I think about half of them probably know. I haven't told them because they are more so my mom and my dad's relatives. Like it's my mom's sisters, it's my dad's brothers and sisters. So, and like my dad's parents, my mom's parents are my grandparents, and so
they know.
Your
grandparents.
My mom's mom does know. My dad's parents don't. Because my dad's parents are way more conservative and religious, and it would probably give them a heart attack. So we kind of, like, I haven't told them. I kind of just made a pact. I was like, look, my mom and dad, like, my dad is the one who is kind of ashamed of it. And so I'm not going to like tread on his territory by telling his family. If it comes up and he wants to tell them, then that's his thing. I don't think he does tell them. I think he probably never says the word gay at all. But yeah, so my relationship with my parents now is pretty good. My mom is good. My dad, it's a decent relationship. It's probably better than it ever has been, but we don't talk about it. We don't talk about me being gay.
But they asking about...
No. He doesn't ask really about my personal life that much. Yeah, we kind of...
What question? Are you happy? Or...
I mean, he asked if I'm happy. He asks about my friends and my life a little bit, but he doesn't ask, are you dating anyone?
Do you have boyfriend?
Yeah, no, he's not gonna... I think there have been a couple times when he has, like, tried to, like, touch on it a little bit. He, like, tries to force himself to ask about that. I think it was when I was with my ex. When I was actually actively dating a guy, he would, like, ask, like, how is Brett? How is he? So, like, that was the most that he's ever done.
So it is anything for him, for them, to your parents, if your boyfriend will be black or white, for example, or bottom or top?
Yes.
And what
it would matter. My dad is not the most progressive. I mean, he's homophobic. He's a little bit racist as well. So if I brought a black man home, he probably would not be very happy. But
would he asking about who bottom or top?
No, he would never ask. He doesn't. He would never ask because
How do you
he
think?
probably
Would
doesn't want
he?
to know.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I don't think he would want to know. He doesn't want to picture or have
would,
the thought
would
of
he
me having
happy
sex
if you
with a man.
say, I'm top? Please, father, I'm man, I'm top, I'm not bottom.
I think it would give him a little bit of satisfaction.
Yeah.
I think he would maybe be a little bit happier, but I don't know. It's also like, I don't think he would ever ask just because he doesn't want to think about me having sex with a man. So he's still in denial a little bit of it, but it would probably help a little bit if I had told him that.
So thank you very much for so sincerely talking. I am surprised by the way that you talk with me about it. I don't know that is your where is your borders of your personality life, and everybody anytime talking to me that I'm not so kind, not so respectful. Me, I am not. So for me, it is a surprise to talking with somebody from USA, this personal way of life. And I want to ask you about advice to everybody who have children. What they should do if their children say them that they are members of LGBT community.
For any parents anywhere,
For any parents
the
anywhere.
most important thing about being a parent is showing your kid that you love them. And that's no matter what. Don't let your morality affect the way that you love them. I think many parents take their religion and say, my religion says this, and that is more important than loving my child the way he needs to be loved, which is totally wrong. Children will grow up to be happier and healthier when they feel loved. That is the most important thing. So put your beliefs and morality aside and just love your kid the way they need to be loved.